Testing. 1 2 1 2 test. Microphone check. Looks good. Looks like the audio levels are good. Maybe not. Let's see. Am I live? I think I'm live. Yeah. Excellent condition. Okay, we're doing a different setup here. Hello. It's gonna be hard to monitor myself because we're doing a different setup here. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll figure it out as we go. This is the Black Ponderer here on YouTube. This Black Ponderer is a YouTube channel where we talk about philosophy. For the most part, we read philosophical texts, and then we give supplementary commentary about the philosophical themes in those texts. Sometimes it's just straight up text, like Rene Descartes' Meditations on First Philosophies, or John Paul Sartre's Being and Nothingness. One day we will make a video about that, but that's not today. Oh, hello, I'm Nadia. How's it going? But then other times we do these live streams where we talk about just general philosophy topics, and you kind of free ball it. I open these up so it's more of a conversation than a lecture. More of a dialogue than a sermon. And it's just like, consider it like hanging out with buddies. You might have seen the thumbnail of the video, maybe not. I don't know. I just put like royalty free, like lounge, nightclubs, cafes and such, because that's what it is. We just chilling and we just talk about philosophy. So we got a topic today, and it is actually a retrospective about a publishing company I used to really like. I still like them, but they're defunct now. They went under. They're a comic book publication. They made comics, and it was specifically like political comics, kind of short form comics. Quite oftentimes humorous, sometimes serious. I guess it was about 50-50. Non-fiction comics as well as just regular, just satire, parody, a lot of satire, a lot of social commentary. They're a great comic book publication, but they just went under, and they're called the Nib. They're still, I think the website's still up, thenib.com or something like that. And they came out with various books here, so I got the books. They used to mail them out, and we'll go over a few of them, kind of look over them and see what's up. But I didn't. I think this might have been. Was this? No, I think this was the very first one. If I'm mistaken, Death. Yeah, and then you had. I think this was. I don't know. I don't remember. But this was like one of the early ones. Empire. I think this came out like right when the pandemic was really. Lockdown was huge. This is great. So we'll look over these comic books, and they'll be fine. And Nadia says, "I'm good. Planning on starting my first volunteer session with Food Not Bombs tomorrow." Cool. Yeah, I just did a session with them earlier today. That's great. A bit nervous to meet everyone. How are you? I'm good. Yeah. So I did. The library, the public library here in where I'm at, they did their Pride event. Which was kind of cool. Usually Pride is in July, but they're like, no, we're doing it in September. So they did their Pride event, and they invited us to join, to table, and we sure did. Table at their Pride event, and it was a lot of fun. Had a lot of interesting conversations about homelessness and abolition and mutual aid and anarchy. Lots of very deep discussions about people who agree or disagree. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was more just getting the word out about what Food Not Bombs is, and it was cool because it was at a Pride event. The very first Pride event was an abolitionist movement. People refer to Stonewall, which was definitely like an anti-cop thing, but even before then, they had these Pride events that were actually just police riots, and those were the beginnings of what we now know as Pride events. Because police disproportionately, discriminate, oppress, target queer people, and so they lashed out. They're like, no, we're not taking this anymore. Right? And that was the beginnings of the queer gay rights and queer liberation movements and things like that. So we talked about all that at the event. That was fun. That was with Food Not Bombs, baby. And that cool camera setup this evening. Yeah, I got 2 cameras going on at the same time. So let's see how that works out. So we're talking about comic books. So there's all. Oh yeah, and also before we start, feel free to talk about talk in the chat, and we could always. Sometimes we'll just veer off topic, which is fine because we're just hanging out, we're just having a good time, we're just chilling, right? So if you want to bring something up randomly, that's cool. It's cool with me. Usually I kind of steer it back to the original conversation. I'm pretty good at that. So, but don't feel obligated to if something's on your mind, you just want to speak out. That's cool. And then you say, very cool. Glad you had a good day at the library's Pride. Yeah, that was nice. that was pretty cool. And so so comic books. You think of comics, and it's really big right now with Marvel superhero and the Marvel, what is it? Cinematic universe. And you got there's the DC with Superman and Batman and all that. So you think of a lot of superheroes in tights, and that's the normal perception of comic books. But there's all types of comic books, right? There's Charlie Brown Peanuts. There's Garfield. Those are cool too, right? Now, of course, there's manga, Japanese comics, and all these other countries that have their own flavor of comic books. You think of manga, you think Dragon Ball and things like that. I was gonna say Pokemon, but Pokemon does have a manga, but it's mostly a video game, right? Ranma 1/2. I'm thinking about I'm old school. We're talking about comic mangas, the old classic manga. But Sailor Moon, that was a classic manga that came out. But also a lot of comics were satire. And I wonder if the very first, one could probably argue that the first comics were just satire, social commentary comics, illustrations. But don't get me wrong. Just to give you some precursor, I do like the old school superhero comics. I got what got me into comics was you're seeing the ring light was the X-Men, because I'm a 90s kid, right? Grew up on that old 90s show, the X-Men, the animated series. This is 70s comics, but X-Men is, this is the color, X-Men. great. Of course, Wolverine, of course, he's still big to this day. So, I like the men in tights, and you got the buff dudes. Got these, Cyclops, he looks like an Olympic swimmer with his swimming cap or what. He looks like he's about to go swimming or something. This is more before the 90s came in, and I guess the artist was Jim Lee. He kind of gave him the more modern look. And Magneto, of course, right? I liked it. I got these actually signed by Chris Claremont. He came one time at a comic book convention here. I was he didn't even look. I guess he was so busy. It's funny because they had a comic book convention. It was a whole weekend, and I'm I'm not gonna come Saturday because that's probably too busy. I'll come Sunday. come Sunday. And I think he was like really tired. Chris Claremont is the author of like like a lot of the very popular X-Men storylines, like the Phoenix Saga and all that stuff. And he was signing my books, and he didn't even look at me. I think he was just, I was like, damn, dude, Oh, well, whatever. So, I'm not trying to, like, belittle the men in tights, and the women in tights, but the superheroes, but there's more to it than that. And then Nadia says, I haven't read too many comics, but my favorite recent one is Ducks. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Earthquake! That's fine. I had to bust out with my copy. Earthquake! I got it too. It's great memoir, So yeah, I'm into the memoir comics as well. What a great way of storytelling, like having memoirs but in comic book form. Another one that I like is March. That's a good one, but yeah, no, this is great. I like Ducks. Quite a marvel, actually. Quite amazing that this author was able to do that. Like, it's huge, right? Got to be careful what I show because, some of it is triggering. And, it's got some really deep topics, as you may know. It's got some. Just to talk about like these really intense, sensitive topics. What an achievement this work is. An amazing comic book. Absolutely. What do you call it? A graphic novel, right? I got the Ducks. So that was cool. So, I'm a fan, man. I like comic books. They're awesome. And then, what else we got? Well, a little something less serious. Also, Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles was originally a comic book. And, they were black and white, so all the turtles had the same color because it was all black. It was like April O'Neil's Master Splinter, Shredder. My older brother had the original comics. There's Casey Jones. You know what I'm saying? I like it. I'm a '90s kid, so I love the Ninja Turtles. They're awesome. I buy these like the ultimate collection books because they just bring me back to my childhood. Because I'm just a sucker for nostalgia like that. Did you ever read Archie? That was my first comic. I was obsessed. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I read Archie. It didn't really captivate me, but that's cool. I know that's a very popular comic book. I know they made several live action shows that was like one was I think it was called Riverdale. It came out and it was like really popular for a small time, but then not anymore. So yeah, I'm into the graphic novels too. I've talked about this book on my channel. This is actually my favorite graphic novel. I know this is like my favorite graphic novel. Now some people think it's overrated, which hey, everybody has a right to their own opinion. I think the camera is a little. Yeah, it's a little. It's pointing upward. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, everybody has a right to their own opinion. I love this comic book a lot because it kind of like. It's a good love story. There's some critiques that are kind of fair because it's a queer story, and then they like, well, why do queer stories always have to end always have to have these tragic moments in them? Why can't it just be happy? Hey, that's fair. That's a good critique. I'm slanted. Dang, I knocked the camera down and now I'm all crooked. But it's probably okay. It's probably just fine. Yeah. But I like this story. It's pretty cool. I think I made a video somewhere along the line of that one. Did you read Mouse? Mm-hmm. I have read Mouse, another great graphic novel, series of graphic novels, right? Mouse is very, very good, very good. It's funny because, I mean, it's not funny. It's Mouse about is famous. This is one of those books they teach you. Nowadays you go to college and they'll assign you it because it's like that. It's like a masterpiece, right? But what's funny is that the story of the author, I think he actually sued Steven Spielberg because I think it was Steven Spielberg was coming out with these movies that had mouses, and I think one of them I think it was called American Tail, and the mouse was Jewish. It was a Jewish mouse. It's kind of about the immigration story, and like the author of Mouse was like, yeah, that's a little too close to my story, and he like sued Steven. I think he actually won too. I think they settled in court. He was able to, because I think Spielberg kind of saw his work and like, hey, I can do something like that, but a bit more kid friendly. So I think it was Steven Spielberg that made that movie. I thought that was funny, a little background. But yeah, Mouse is great. Yeah, high school. Yeah, it's like one of those. It's one of those books. So just giving you some background. I'm into all the. I like lots of comics. I like funnies too. The Sunday funnies like Garfield is one of my favorites. I like Garfield a lot. Peanuts is cool. I like Charlie Brown. Those are cool. But what we're talking about is the Nib. So the Nib, here's some books of the Nib, some graphic. They used to send these like I think they did one every season. Like they did one for the fall, the summer, the winter, the spring. I'll probably pass it. It's way too fast. But we'll talk about them in depth. Oh, this is the pandemic issue. Yeah, that's cool. But the Nib was a comic book publishing publisher that would just come out with a email, like a newsletter, and it'll just be comics. And it was free. At the time it was free. You just signed up to their a mailing list, and they would email you just comics, and they were awesome. They were awesome, and I would share them on my social media because they were really, really on. They were what's up. Like they knew. I mean, they were kind of woke before woke was like really big, But they were funny and they were very clever, and they were highly social commentary. Like a lot of there was a lot of satire, a lot of humor, but the social commentary was really on point. Very pro, like social equality, queer rights, racial. It talked about racial inequality, class dynamics, socioeconomic class. So got into Marxism type stuff. Just all the left wing topics, but it did it in a very intelligent way that wasn't like too highbrow. I really enjoyed the Nib. And the best part about it is that it was free. It was free, which is probably why it's under. But but that was cool. But what happened is they launched a service where you can like order books. They will put their. They didn't even put like already made comics. I think they did put some of their already made ones in the collection, but they also just commissioned comics to like create new work, so that they would publish like a book every like season or so, and then they would release it, and you could get a membership. You could get a paid member, and I did that. I was like, I think I want that, and I think that's a good cause, and it's great that they're like using comic books to make people think. Because I used to, I would. It was great. Let me see. You got these copies for free? No, you paid a fee. It was like a subscription service, but it wasn't that expensive. It was like, what was it? I remember it was not expensive. I think it was like $8 a month or something like that, if I recall. It was like not that expensive. I know I wasn't breaking the bank, so I thought it was very fair and actually a good deal. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm really happy with supporting this publication because they're doing some good work and it's entertaining too. They have a sale currently. Oh, they're closing. We're offering $5. Okay, cool. So they're still, yeah, they're still around, and they still are just selling their back issues, and they still got all their comics that have been they released as like archived, so you can check it out. They're still around. They just don't publish anything new anymore. That's the thing. I think they'll occasionally, like every other month, will publish like 5 new comic strips, but it's nowhere near the output they used to do. But that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of funny because there was some comics that just didn't come. Some of my comics just didn't come in. Like there's one that's about family. So they have the comics are about themes like animals, drugs, cities, secrets. One was about family, and I never got that one. That was another one I never got in the mail. Of course, like as an independent power, this is Scabs. It's an independent, small team. Of course, they're gonna miss some stuff, and I could have emailed them, but they probably would have sent it to me. But I was like, you know what? It's like because they also gave you digital copies of the book, so I had the digital copy that I used to. That I was able to read, so it's not like I just didn't have the physical. And I was like, it's fine. I know they're working hard. It's like a small staffed organizations. It's reasonable. They'll miss some. It's fine. I'm not trying to hassle them. Yeah, so maybe I might just go on that website, maybe see if I could buy some of the back orders of the issues I just never got. And then why do you say that they woke before woke was a thing? Well, when I guess when did woke become kind of a thing? I remember like it was kind of when like Trump became president of the United States. That's when people really started, or maybe during the election when he was like in the 2016, right? Maybe I think that was when that term was like. I know it was around before then. I think it was an old term that was around in like the 70s or something, but it didn't really get big until like 2006, and then everybody started using it, and now it's like used pejoratively. It's like an insult, which is strange. But they were like, they were very socially conscious. They were, it's just, while like you mostly saw comics focusing on superhero, villain versus hero dynamics. That was mostly the popular comics. They were just, the nib was just busting out like 2012, 2010. They were just coming out with, just social commentary and political. They were talking about queer rights in comic book form and racial inequality dynamics and the social economic class thing with the talking about like the upper middle and how the dynamics of capitalism and exploitation. And I'll show you some. Although I don't have any of their old stuff. How that see well let's look at this one because the theme is work. So work here, what's going to happen? They're probably going to be talking about capitalism, right? And they're going to be talking about Marxism, right? Marx and Engels and all that theoretical social political stuff. And then the family one is $5 right now. If you're still interested in getting it, I might hop on that. Yeah. Because I'm like, hey, where's my copy, man? But yeah, let's look at some examples. Look at this. And then they would publish like comic books that came out. Like, when did this come out? Does it say? Oh, 1936. Because now it's like public domain. They could just, anybody could publish it. That was cool too. They would come out. And then they would kind of show the heritage of comic books, like how they always was talking about like social inequality and social justice issues. Let me see. What is it? Like two-sided. Prices are way up. Price is way down. So code or no code, it always comes to this for the working man. So, you know, this is I guess it's that kind of like, you know, I see what they try to do. They're like, you know, while Wall Street and like, you know, all these capitalists are making like tons of money hand over fist. The working class laborer is like not seeing any of that, right? As we can see today, right? It is kind of a you know, old school style comic showing that. But of course they have the new stuff. And look at, check this out. It's got some queer stuff. I think, yeah, there was definitely an emphasis on, you know, sex work and how like sex work is. Oh yeah, see it is pornographer marketing. You know, that I remember that was a big thing. I guess I should be careful, but I don't monetize my videos, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm not like worried about that. So I can show all the nudity. It's fine. How pornography in the industry is very heteronormative, and then if it goes outside heteronormativity, is like extremely difficult to make money. And plus, like, it talks about the exploitative nature of the pornographic business, and so that has to do with work, the theme, and it's doing that. And this is not so. It's kind of funny, but it's more of a memoir style. It's like it's a nib interview. It's like people interviewing people in comic book form. That's dope. And how did you find out about them? Yeah, I actually don't remember how I found out about them. I think I just stumbled across them somehow on the internet. I don't remember, but I just remember they had free comics, and the comics were great. And I would actually like use those comics when I would debate with people about, like, particularly my friends, about like social justice stuff. And I would like post those comics, and that would like really throw people off. Let me see if I can find it, because I particularly like the pandemic one. I think that's one I would recommend. I think I'll buy some of the favorites. Where's the pandemic one? That was a really good one. Oh, here it is. Because, man, during the pandemic, people really, like, the pandemic's still going on, isn't it, right? It's still going on. COVID-19 hasn't gone away at all. And, you know, check it out. I think I just saw an old scare. This is, like, from 1918. So it was showing, like, the pandemic, the Spanish flu. And there people were making comics about the Spanish flu pandemic, which was which was on par with the COVID-19. Took out many people. And people were making comic books about that. But yeah, people were really starting to show their colors about how some people just didn't want to wear masks because they thought it was an infringement on their rights. And I'm like, yeah, but people are dying, right? So maybe you should like care about other people. And the Nib came out with a bunch of like that kind of hypocrisy and that kind of like logic, kind of like logical fallacy. And they would come out with a bunch of comic books kind of showcasing that, and I would just post them because they were free comics on my social, and then people would get mad at the comics. They'd be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? That's horrible." And it just make them look stupid, but it was just funny. Some aren't funny. Some are like serious comics, right? Yeah, I might be. I wonder if it has the one I'm thinking about. Probably not. And so here's the comic right here. It's about. I remember this one. It was an Asian. It was written by an Asian comic, and she was talking about how, how back in those days because the Asian hate crime against Asian Americans went up during the pandemic because you have politicians like Trump blaming China for the pandemic. So you had that, and so she would like get all this hatred and shit just for her being Asian, even though and then she talks about how ironic it was because Asian people, Chinese, Japanese, I mean the mask wearing was like a cultural thing way before like COVID-19. People wore masks and that was like a normal thing people did when they got sick. So they were like doing that already, but then it's kind of like ironic, right? As you can see, like Chinese brought the virus. I'm not Chinese, Oh, okay. She's even lying. I'm not Chinese, but they would definitely these racist people would say talk, spread, say hateful things to like Japanese people or Vietnamese people or people from other Southeast Asian countries that are not Chinese, because they're just a bunch of assholes, right? Again, a lot of old comics from the Spanish flu pandemic. What's going on? I remember this comic. It was about some person they did, while in severe lockdown, this person would go on and do, they would play music to people in front of their house at a distance. And they would just do that for people. And that's pretty cool. That was very cool. And then this one talks about how rats are, spreading. They were known to spread disease. But and that was true before COVID-19. This is a good one. This is kind of good because it kind of brings you back to that time. I thought I saw a little poster, but maybe I'm tripping. Was there like a little poster? Yeah, it is. See, look at this. That's crazy. The NIB Bureau of Statistics. So it's yeah, I mean, this would be great I would recommend this because it kind of brings you back to, and of course, I remember when the pandemic was raging and the lockdowns were happening, but they were having all these Black Lives Matter protests where people were protesting, and then everybody, the people who didn't like that were arguing oh, you guys are spread, you're concerned about the disease, but you're having all these mass protests that are, supposedly spreading the disease. But there's been all this scientific research that was done that show those protests with lots of people did not meaningfully spread the disease because people were masked up and they used a lot of hand sanitizer. There were lots of people passing out sanitizers, and people wore vinyl gloves and stuff. They were very smart about it, and so they, by doing that, they reduced. It just kind of showed face masks and sanitizers and preventative measures actually does prevent the spread of the disease. So kind of even though with these mass protests. So I mean that was quite interesting. And yeah, but then there's all this other stuff here. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Death tolls and a history of it. And it just brings you back to that time. Whew, 2020. Man, what a fucking year. That's one for the history books. Maybe you don't want to go back there to that time. Maybe you don't. Maybe you should buy the book. What else I would recommend? Secrets is pretty cool. Check it out. Yeah, always they're really good artwork. What's the time? Okay, weird. Hidden Kitten. This comic book is about somebody that took in a pet, but they weren't allowed to, because they live in an apartment where it's like no pets. Everyone can see the cat in your window. Get rid of it or get out. Oh, I'm sorry, you probably don't say that. That's so funny. But they were able to keep, I think they had to move out because they wanted to keep the pet, but then the landlord's like, why are you moving? Y'all could have stayed or something. Yeah, and I think this one's about how, when people are about to, pass away, a lot of secrets get exposed. Like people regret keeping secrets and they're like, I should have told you this when they're about to pass, Very fascinating stuff. How to keep a secret online. So that's about like burner phones and encrypted services like Signal and things like that. Israel not so secret nukes. This was before the Hamas shit that happened in October 6th, right? So that's been an ongoing thing for decades, right? Some would argue centuries. And I'd probably be one of those people that would argue. If a tree falls in the... Okay. Oh yeah, this was interesting. What was this? Okay. It was about a queer relationship where has this ever happened to you? This is kind of a common thing, right? It never happened to me, but I know people it happened to, like... somebody goes out with somebody else, but then the other person is like, no, I don't go out with that person at all. And then, when that hurt, like, they were going out secretly, but she's like, no, it wasn't. But then years later, she came out as gay, and I'm happy she did, even though like she was pretending not to. Right? I just wish that back then I wasn't a casualty of her shame, right? So it's quite fascinating. So this one's all about like keeping secrets, right? Social realities, paper fic. I've read them all, but I forgot. And as you can see, the artwork is quite varied because it's various comics doing this, making these comics. Various comics making comics. A dummy doll. I think this is about like a CIA agent that uses like fake like blow up dolls to pretend. I think they put cameras in the blow up dolls. That's interesting. It's just kind of crazy. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, they actually use the blow-up dolls as like a form of like espionage. And it's a real thing that they used to do. It's crazy. And this is about like tattoo covers up. It's people who've had like, Nazi tattoos or like white supremacy tattoos, and they've changed over the years, and they're trying to like, I don't believe in that stuff anymore, but I got these permanent marks. So it's about these people that are, they cover it up. And it's like, this black person who talks to these former white supremacists. And he's like, yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it. Cover it up. So that's fascinating. And then you say, wow, this is so interesting. I love that they show other examples in history of people saying the same things across time. Yeah, no, that's great. looks so good. I'm going to see if there are any copies already in Toronto somewhere. The estimated shipping to Canada is $40 apparently. Ah, shit. I could give. I mean, I wonder. It helps the digital, but I guess you want physical copy, right? You're not trying to get the digital because that will be, but it's nothing like having physical, right? But they do have the digital copies. That's an option too. Of course. Was this did this come out, I wonder, when Trump, became president for the first time? Probably. Or, no, I don't think so. I think, what year did this? They don't even say the damn year. Yeah, I think this is like in 2018 or something like that. I think this is like 2018. So we're 2 years into Trump presidency. I mean, I'd love to see the digital if I can get my hands on them. They don't. You can't get them on the website? That's too bad. I mean, if you can't get them on the website, just hit me up on. I hate to say, but if they don't have them available on the website, then I'm sorry. Like, you can hit me up for that because I got the digital copy. So I'm just saying, I don't think that's a problem. It's like if you're not, I mean, not everybody can pay $40 for shipping. I'm sorry. Really, ooh, a sticker. I'm gonna use that. Yeah, I think this was the very first issue, Death. Yeah. That there is a roundworm called that lives in the soil of mild climates. The first time I saw a dead body, oh, ew, whoa, whoa. So this issue is all about death. I liked it apparently because I kept my subscription. That one's a bit morbid. This one's about scams. Don't mind my doggy. That's fine. That's my old address. Had my address, but I moved out that place years ago. Let me see here. Yeah. That's fine. A very, very old address. You could be. I think this was a good one too. Power. Money. So here again, the nib was it talked a lot about like social economics and class warfare. And, it really got into like, criticism of capitalism and like, really deep examinations of socialism. And that's one of the cool things I liked about the magazine. I mean, the publication. Pandemic profiteering. Profiting off of the COVID-19 pandemic, which we definitely saw that shit. And this is from 1904. This is a critique of Teddy Roosevelt. Hey. Power grabs. Theodore Roosevelt, that president, There's a lot of criticism about it. There's a lot of good things about what they say, but there's a lot of critique about them too. Interestingly, but yeah, look at this. Yeah, that's another cool thing. They would show like a lot of these old school comics. Oh, your public library has them. That's great. Well, that's good if your public library. It says that the offer is expired to download. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I got them. Here we go. My old ass. So it's fine because that's an old. I don't even know if the building still exists. I think they might have gotten rid of that building. It's fine, but yeah, don't show your address online. Don't unless you'll get scammed, right? But fortunately, that's an old ass address. Free abortion on demand, no apology. Hello, that's a great image. I might just scan that and just upload it on my social medias. So meditations on when you think you found the people who own your people via DNA test. Oh. Yeah, I remember this one. It's about the comic book artist that did one of those Ancestry.com things. And then she found out things that disturbed her about her background. And it had related to the power dynamic. Oh, I remember this one. This one was about somebody's at a comic book convention, and then somebody cosplays as a Nazi, right? And how like disturbing that was. And he's it's kind of crazy because he's next to a stormtrooper. So I guess that's his buddy. Like what? His buddy is a stormtrooper. He's a Nazi. And they're like, they get questioned like, "Why are you wearing a Nazi uniform?" And the guy's like, "Huh? I'm just cosplaying. It's a character. This is not a costume. This is something that that's And it's about power. It's about the power dynamic. Who can do that? Who can't." That 2011 lens makes virtually everything seem quaint, but angry nerds smugly exploiting the plausible deniability of embracing evil, putting their fantasies on the outside, smirking at a culture ill-equipped to identify hell to the horizon, was barely too preposterous to be taken seriously at the time. That's a good one. When nerds take it a little too far. And of course, again, the decline of unions has led to protest movements without teeth, but strikes and class consciousness are on the rise. So very, class conscious, this comic. So, they're all really good. They're all really good. This is food. Ooh, color. Let me see food right quick. Yeah, I want to see color. This one has a glossy cover. This is like... Okay, this one, they did the gloss. I guess they did that because it makes the color pop. Cobalt blue. Fashion victims. See the unseeable. Chemical colors are imaginary colors, unable to reduce. Oh, interesting. The color of money. Wait, yeah, there. Cash around the world comes in all sorts of shades, but not even capital is untouched by the soft power of American aesthetics. Green is the most common currency color around the globe, followed by yellow, gray, and blue. Men appear on 93% of notes. The most common occupation is politician. Features. That's black and white. I've read this, but I forgot it. Unstoppable Latin American activists made green the color of abortion rights. Now the U.S. needs the green wave more than ever. Yeah, we sure in hell do. And this was before the Roe v. Wade decision in America was overturned. So now we need even more. I believe in Mexico, abortion is legal. They put it in their constitution, right? I think so, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you, show y'all, like this great publication called The Nib. It was awesome. I really liked it a lot, and it really did help me win a lot of debates online because their comics were very, they were very forward-thinking, very intelligent, but also at the same time very entertaining, aesthetically pleasing, right? Very good art, and it wasn't like too like highbrow, I would say, in terms of like, it was worded in a way that anybody could understand. They talk about really advanced topics like social, economic, class warfare, or race relations, or like queer theory and things like that. Ableism, as you see in some of those. But they did it in a really grounded, very layman way, which was cool. And while they were coming out with these magazines, right? They were still busting out every week, or I think they came. Well, was it daily? I know for sure it was like every week. It might have been daily, like just free comics that you could just share online, which I love doing. I used to share all their stuff online all the time because it was some really good stuff, and I agreed with like all of what they're saying. And they were just a publication, so they would reach out to comic artists, like comic writers, who were not necessarily part of the Nib. So the Nib was just a group of 1 or 2 or 3 people, but a lot of the people that wrote comics for them were just their independent, small, like indie artists, or independent comic book creators, right, who just had their own thing going on, and that was cool too. So that was another cool thing I really liked about the Nib, was that it was all just small indie comic book creators, right, which was awesome, right? And it was also, and then. As we've seen, like most of these comics were, the comic book artists were people of color, queer people, a lot of neurodivergent people, people who are suffered, who dealt with various disabilities. People who had various disabilities were represented as creators here. So it's just very diverse, and it just was really cool because it showed you like how comics were just all over the place. How like it wasn't just white people making comics like you see in a lot of these superhero comics, right? Of course, nowadays you got your Gail Simones and your Jim Lees, right? Yeah, but they're kind of few and far between, right? Most of these superhero comic book creators are like the Kevin Smiths, right? These white guys, which is, I'm not knocking the white guy, but it's like, can we have some other people too? So that was cool. You rarely saw white men represented in these comics, or as comic book artists. I'm saying like, a lot of the artists and the writers of these comics were not white guys, which is really cool. So you got a really cool, diverse very different perspectives, very interesting takes on situations and social conditions. Um, yeah, I really like this. But they eventually went defunct. And then Nadia said, "Thanks, Neil. I just ordered a few from the library to check out." Oh, awesome, cool. That's great that they have them at the library. That's pretty cool. Um, yeah, but they eventually they went defunct. I'm guessing because they probably just didn't have the funding. I guess, they just didn't have enough membership, paid membership. So I guess that ultimately that's probably what happened. Uh, which is too bad. I know, like, during that time, it's, excuse me. I'm getting a little tired here. uh, Although I'm still probably gonna stay up pretty late. But the economy was going down. Job market was really, not the best. This was they went through the pandemic years. I subscribed in 2018, I believe, and it went 2019, 20, 21, 20. I'm trying to think when they stopped. Maybe 2021. No. Probably till like 2022. I don't know. Like around that time. And back then people were just like everybody needed every single penny, right? So it's understandable. Like you would ask, like, why can't you just pay for a subscription? It's hard. Money is. Even we need every penny these days, but particularly back then, right? And people who would be interested in these kinds of comics were not the most well-to-do people, right? So it's just an unfortunate situation, but I guess nothing lasts forever. I'm glad their website is still up, so people can still find out about them, and they got all their old school, all the stuff they publish you can check out. So that's cool. You can even buy the back orders for $5, which is awesome. That's very reasonable price. That's awesome. Yeah, that's too bad. I would have supported them if I knew them. Yeah. Too bad, but what you gotta do? I'm trying to think of, like, is there any other place that, and I can't think of another comic book publication that's like this. I'm sure you can go to their website and you can follow, like, the artists that they featured, but man, it was not the same, right? With this curated magazine setup here, it's just not the same. But I guess that'll be your best bet to check out, because all the indie comic book creators, they're still out producing content. They probably got Patreons and coffees and, like, all those crowd sharing and they probably got their services you can get their subscriptions from as well. If the shipping fees were better as a member, right? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Yeah, shipping is a biatch, isn't it? It's too bad. They only ship to US, Canada, and Australia, apparently. Just FYI for other viewers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a damn shame that they don't offer the digital versions. I wonder why the hell that is. I mean, I don't know. It might be a very good reason why. But, if you want the digital versions, hit me up. Hit me up. Disconnected, reconnected. Okay, I think we're good. Is this my favorite comic book series? I would say it's definitely one of my favorites. Then for sure. Is it my all-time favorite? No. It's a very good. I guess critically speaking, yeah. But of course, my all-time favorite comic book series is X-Men, right? Why? Because that's nostalgia, right? Nostalgia. You can like things for irrational reasons. Yeah, that would be my favorite. But which is more critically, what's a more critically better would be this. Critically speaking, the Nib is better than X-Men, but that childhoodness though. And if I like them, maybe I will treat myself for a B-Day present and pay the shipping fees. Okay. So your birthday's coming up. That's cool. Hey, maybe I might, that's cool. You've been such a long time viewer. Nadia, that might be my birthday present to you. Just say it. Just say it. If you just hit me up on the Discord. Just saying. But yeah, I think that's we've hit our hour mark. I think we will close now. You are so sweet. What is your birthday? My birthday is December the 16th. So do we do anything? I don't. Yeah, we usually don't. Yeah, I do special stuff at the year mark. And I believe the anniversary of the channel is like January 6th, which has now been tainted by the insurrection. People call it a baby insurrection. I mean, it is a serious thing, but people say it's a baby insurrection because it was. But I think that June 6th was when I first started this channel. That's when we do celebrations and stuff like that. Not really on my birthday. But yeah, that's my birthday. So but in closing, check out the Nib. The Nib, it's a great comic book publication if you're into comic books. If you're only into superhero comic books, check out other forms of comic books. You might be surprised how much you would like it. I got all types of comics. Check out. I highly recommend. This is an amazing work. Yeah, definitely. I think I was watching an interview with the artist. I think this artist actually did some work for the Nib. I think, and I think maybe that's why I was familiar with the artist. And then they were talking about this. I was like, wow, I gotta check this out. And then I did it, and amazing work there. Just to give you some more recommendations that aren't superhero stuff. And this is actually my favorite comic book. Check it out if you want. Some people think it's like overrated, but it's not that. They made a movie of this. The movie is like really bad. The movie is kind of like a porno. It's kind of like one of those French. It's like one of those French movies that kind of too. It's like, is this an art movie or is this pornography? Some French films are like that. But the comic book is pretty cool, I think. So that's another one. And I got nothing against the superhero stuff. Ninja Turtles is cool, X-Men is cool, no. So I got no problem with that. But there you go. Repping Canadian artists, that's cool. Yeah, Canada's awesome. When Kate goes to Victoria, I used to live there. It is such an accurate representation of. Oh, cool. That's good. Cause I have no experience with Canada, so that's cool. Like, I'm getting an accurate representation of the area. Cool. Well, I hope to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and peace out. And maybe I'll come out with a video about some book. I've actually read. I might make a live stream about this. I read Plato's Symposium, and I did not like that book. I just felt it. I don't know. It didn't. I was like, well, this is like not that good. I don't know. Am I missing something? I was reading the Symposium. I was like, okay, maybe I'll make a video out of this. I kept reading. I'm like, there's nothing that's coming out that's interesting to me. I know that's like a highly regarded work of philosophy, but I was reading it, and I'm like. I got nothing. I got nothing from this. So now I'm reading Plato's Gorgias, I think it's called Gorgias. I don't know how to pronounce it. I have to Google that, the proper pronunciation. And hopefully, I've had, the introduction is pretty good by the translator. That's how far I've gone. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I'll probably come out with some videos about some Plato videos, maybe. But until then, see ya. You've been watching the Black Ponderer. Tune in next time for more philosophical thought. And yep, see you later, Nadia. Peace out.